been. Zoom versions are currently at 5.11.2 on mobile devices and 5.11.3 on desktop versions, Mac desktop versions, and laptops, Mac versions. So if you don't have that version, that's okay. You can always check the update, but you'll probably have to log out and log back in again in order to get the current update for Zoom. But things usually function quite well for several versions of Zoom, so it's not something to have a major worry about. Just wanted to let you know what versions we're at in case anything strange happens. And speaking of version updates, as you may have noticed, or if not, the all the mobile devices and desktops and Apple devices have had a recent update also. So if you haven't gotten those, do a backup, make sure your Time Machine or your mobile device has been backed up to wherever you're backing it up, and put in the new version, new update to your Apple devices. So that'll keep them current and more secure. And if you seem to be having any problems with any of your devices after the update or before you panic, just turn off your device and start it up again. I don't know exactly what was happening to my watch, but my watch wasn't communicating with my phone, so I just shut it down and started it up again, and the watch was working fine. So it was kind of quiet, but it was rather strange because usually I get.
Roy, may I just interject something quickly?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I wonder if somebody who is muted could check to see if the YouTube live stream that I just started is working okay and report back. I can't keep the sound on because otherwise it goes beep, beep, I'm not smart enough to have two different tracks of audio coming.
Okay. Posting the latest Zoom update there for everybody in chat. Aaron, do you have anything you want to say about the current update from Apple, or just the fact that it is?
I think you said it all.
Okay. So there it is. We always highly recommend that you put the most current update in there. Keeps your devices all secure and fixes any minor little glitches that may have popped up there, or suddenly detects some minor glitches that you need to report to Apple, but hopefully they're not there. And on the forefront of the new versions coming, those don't come until fall. So you'll see public betas. Don't jump on a public beta unless you've got it, unless you feel like risking any problems. Another problem there with public beta is a lot of times it has various new features that actually don't end up in the final release. So you may end up using something in beta that changes something, or you get used to, and when the release comes out, that is not available until they fix whatever problems were reported. So my general word of caution on betas. It's fun to run if you have another Mac ID and other devices with other cell phone numbers or other Mac IDs, and you want to see what the new stuff's like. It's nice running it under an ID, but don't run it under your regular ID, because you're just going to be putting new and old together until the release comes out. So that's my news from today. So I guess we could start with any membership comments or questions that people have about, the current state of things with their Apple devices. Anybody have anything to report that they've been discovering? Kind of a quiet morning. So I guess Fergie has something. He's raising a hand.
Okay, yeah. I need to get a new external camera. Any brands that you can recommend? My camera's no longer functioning properly.
I don't run an external camera, so I'm not very good at reporting that. Anybody else run an external camera that they would recommend adding?
I have a Logitech now. That's what's malfunctioning. I can get another one and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
I got Fergie, I got a Logitech recently. I'm not using it right now, but my wife is. And, I've had good luck in the past with Logitech. They have a variety of price points along the way that
Yeah, you got to
that
write
you
in
can
numbers.
choose from.
You got to write in numbers too.
Yeah. Logitech puts out a lot of different devices that work well with
Oh, I have no idea what number
Apple.
it is. Okay. Probably want to stick with them, I suppose.
Yeah. Sometimes, a lot of times I check just with what the Apple store's got. And, sometimes they have a Logitech device or something like that. And
Yeah, it says HD 1080, so
so,
you're just dying, I guess.
yeah, because I was buying something to expand my USB ports on my iMac, my M1 iMac. And I thought the old one that I had was failing. So I thought I'd buy a new one. And I went and looked at the Apple store to see what they had. And unsupportive of the Apple store, unfortunately, I actually went to Amazon and found the same one and bought it. Well, actually, I bought it at half the price, which was more of the encouragement. If I had bought it at full price, I would have bought it from the Apple store. But for some reason, somebody was selling, I guess, a returned version to Apple or to Amazon, and I got it at half the price, and that was an incentive, and it seems to be working fine.
I like being able to adjust the thing, but it's going beyond that right now.
Yeah. So
Hey, I can't, I have a immediate problem. I cannot get out of safe driving mode. I touch something. I'm on my iPhone. I touch something. It's put me in safe driving mode. So all I get is basically a black screen with your microphone is unmuted, your video is stopped. And so I don't get to see anybody. So I'm wondering if, oh, wait, okay. It just corrected itself. Never mind. Thanks. I think it has. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I was going to say safe driving mode was probably working the way it was supposed to be working, that you couldn't watch anybody. So
Yeah, it was, except I was in my wheelchair, not in my car.
Yes. Well, you got to be safe in the wheelchair too. So
Well, it does think, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
no, go ahead. You could finish what you said.
Fine. It's the automatic. Never mind. It's fine. Thank you. It's
And you're going way too fast then if it thinks you're driving. So
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was going to say is that we have an automatic gate for our parking lot here, and the gate recognizes me in the wheelchair as a car. So I don't know if that's saying something about me personally, my weight or something like that, but it does think of me as a car. So
Yeah. Probably knows you're moving quite fast along, maybe, or faster than it anticipates. Mike, Emery, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, just first for Ann, I think installing that supercharger, probably helps with the speed issue. Now, the problem I've been seeing lately is with Safari. I have to edit videos and from classes that we've recorded, and then post them up to Vimeo. Lately, each time I try to post a video so it gets uploaded, Safari clocks up to about 6 or 8 meg, and then just stops right there. It won't go any further. I have to open up Chrome and upload the video that way. I don't know what is going on with Safari, but I'm not sure what to check and see what's actually causing it. So, hoping someone might have some ideas.
So this is logged into your Vimeo account? Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah, correct. I log into Vimeo and with the admin account I have there, and upload. Say a month ago, it was no issue at all. but it's been happening just lately.
Yeah, I can't think of any Safari settings that would get in the way of uploading content.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's anything on the Vimeo side because, Chrome, I can upload, files, no difficulty at all.
And so it can't be your provider either. So it seems like, something strange in Safari.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Are you using private browsing? Is that a possibility that's?
No, I don't have it enabled. So not private, no, anonymous. Well, yeah, it can't be anonymous because I am logged in with an account.
Yeah. So has anybody else tried to upload stuff and had a similar experience? I can't recall uploading anything in Safari recently. I haven't seen a problem like that.
Like what version of Safari?
I would assume the latest. Let's see if I can.
What Mac OS
telling me
version?
there. I just did the update to 12.5, I think it is. Let's see, about Safari 15.6.
Yeah. Have you emailed Vimeo tech support?
I've not, no, at this point.
I would do that as a starting point.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try it that way.
Yeah, that does seem like a strange limitation to be popping in there.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Anything else happening with anybody out there?
Larry had his hand up. Roy?
Larry, there's Larry with his hand up. Yes, go ahead, Larry. Sorry.
Yeah, just today I was using Safari and I was on a website and I couldn't, when I pressed the login button, it just hung on me. I couldn't get to the next screen. So I went to Firefox and I had no problem. So it's not a file upload problem, but it is a problem with Safari changing within a site itself. So I don't know what the cause of that would be. It might be an option where you don't allow pop-ups, but I don't think that's the problem. Just adding
What
to
site were you on, Larry?
I don't recall. I think it was Orvis or something. I'm just doing change of addresses. And so I was logging in and I couldn't log in. So I went to Firefox and I had no trouble. And Safari has been acting up in other ways. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
So I have 3 browsers to choose from.
There have been so many security issues.
Yeah.
But Larry brings up a good point for anybody that does seem to have a problem with Safari or whatever browser you're using, is have more than one browser. Have a Chrome, have a Firefox, or at least one other browser that you can test when you have a problem. Just switching over to it and seeing how it performs. So it's always good to try that. And then at least when you report back to Apple, if you're reporting it on Safari, at least you can say it worked. You could work that it worked in Chrome, but is now working in Safari, and you don't know why. So, but always good to let Apple know when you got a problem. All right.
Oh, does Fergie have his hand up? I think so.
Yes, he does. Yep. His hand blends into his background.
Yeah, I have another question. I have a iPod version 2. Is there any good reason to go to version 3? I don't know what the difference is between the two. Anybody know what the difference is between the 2 and the 3 of the iPods?
iPods.
iPads. What are these things here? You stick it in your ear.
Oh,
AirPods.
AirPods.
Yeah, AirPods.
yes. Well, there's a lot of differences between the different ones, and
Kirsten, I have the 2. I don't know. Should I go to the 3 or just forget it?
if you're just listening to music, or don't need any of the extra features, it's fine. I think I've got 2s, and couldn't see any reason to update. Some of the features sounded nice in the newer versions, but then of course the pricing was significantly different too. So anybody else have experience updating from a older version of the AirPods and reason to do it?
How about the pros? For those cups won't fit in my ear, so that's useless. If they want to we call it the Pro, let me know. I'll send them to you.
Right.
You'll have to wash the little cups off though.
Yes.
Because they got my earwax on them, but I don't use it at all. But they
Oh,
have
I wish
that are good to go to.
Hey, I might call you on that, Fergie. I wish I had known that. I just got the AirPod 3.
Oh, you do?
I mean, not the AirPod 3. I'm sorry, the AirPod Pro, which, by the way, when it comes to noise cancellation, boy, they mean it. So
I wouldn't know. They won't stay in my ear. They keep falling out. All 3 sides, they just won't stay in my ear. I must have funny ears.
well, there's probably somebody, if you do just Google, to spend just a minute Googling, there are people who make custom earpieces for these things, because I've had to get that before, because I have the opposite problem. Can't get them small enough. So I think if you just Google it, you'll find somebody who can make one for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll give it a try.
The difference
Well,
is
I can't-
between,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to mention some of the differences between the 2nd generation and 3rd generation AirPods, if folks want to hear that.
Okay, I do.
Yeah, so with the 3rd generation AirPods, the big feature is spatial audio. So instead of just having 2 channels left and right for stereo, you have spatial audio, which is more like a 3D audio experience. It gives you sound from, I think it's up to like 128 different channels. So it sounds like a much more engaging and 3-dimensional audio experience. So that's the main feature with the 3rd generation AirPods. Also, they're also more water and sweat resistant. So that's another benefit. There's better battery life as well. So there's a number of different changes. They also support MagSafe charging. So, whenever someone asks a question like that, you really want to go to Apple's website and do your research, because they don't just update a product just to have a new generation of it. They usually have thoughtful updates to the product to give you new benefits to want that new feature, that new product. So, it's not easy to answer a question, is it worth upgrading, from the 2nd generation to the 3rd generation? You really want to go to the website and do your research. So, for example, like I've shown this in the past, there's usually a compare web page. So whenever you go to a product like iPhone or iPad, and across the top, you see the different tabs for the different models, there's usually one that says compare. So you want to click on the compare page, and it lets you choose, the different models that you want to compare, and it shows you the features that they have, so you can do a real convenient comparison. So I can show that, if Roy, if you want to let me share my screen, I can show what these compare pages look like.
Okay.
We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main use of the AirPods, what do you call them, is for reading audio or listening to audiobooks. And what I want to do is to decrease the volume from time to time, like I'm in a metro train and go through a noisy area. I want to increase the volume, then I get out again, decrease it back down again. And
Okay,
that's
so you
my
might
use of
be a
it.
good candidate for the AirPods Pro because they have the noise cancellation.
Right. That was the one thing I did notice when they came out with the spatial audio. I thought that sounded great, but then they don't have the noise cancellation in the third generation one.
So
So
you get
again,
to
here's-
earpiece of
when-
AirPod.
so for you, when you go to the website, you click on the product that you want. So for example, AirPods, and it shows all the different models. And for every product, whether it's iPad, iPhone, Mac, whatever, there's always a compare button. So you click on the compare button and you can choose which models you want to compare. And then
Yeah,
you
sounds
can just
like
kind of
a-
go down here. And you
It's
can
not-
just compare product by product and see what features each of them have. So for example, spatial audio is not on the AirPod second generation. So that's how in the future you can see what new features a product has versus the prior generation.
Yeah, I don't think I need the that new sound thing, but I like the Pro, but those earpieces don't fit. Like Ann Simaldo said, maybe they can find somebody who can make who makes that. I have no idea where to search for somebody like that. But I do have the iPod Pro, but they keep falling out.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Check the web and see what you can find. Let's see.
What do you call
I
those
think
earpieces?
Alan Kent had a comment.
Yes, he did. I was just looking for him.
Well,
Also,
I was
the
going to comment.
AirPods Pro come with tips in 3 different sizes. So for people that have different sized ears, there's ear tips, silicone ear tips for 3 different sizes. So just, if you haven't seen those, Fergie, you might look for them.
Yeah, I got
might
all three
help
of
you.
them. None of those, the small, medium, and large, none of them will stay in my ear. They all fall out. I must have funny ears. Maybe my ears are square. I don't know. Round. But I get not trying to ear. What do you call those ear? Those air. What do you call little tips? Air tips? Ear tips?
Yeah. Okay, Alan, you have a comment?
I was going to follow up with what Ann said about the noise cancellation. I have the AirPods Pro, and I've worn them on Metro. And as a baseline, anybody who's ridden Metro knows how noisy the trains are. They nearly completely block the noise. Not 100%, but certainly over 90%. Absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
So if you were ever in a noisy environment, I also do some volunteer work where I'm sitting in front of a computer and need to concentrate. And sometimes it gets very noisy in there. People are talking. My AirPods with noise cancellation take care of it. And if you ever want to turn off the noise cancellation, you just touch and hold the stem for about a second on either one of the AirPods, left or right, and it turns on or off the noise cancellation. So it's very effective. I highly recommend it for anybody who's in an environment where it would be useful.
Sounds good. Thank you. Rich, you have a comment?
I do, thanks.
Okay.
I have the version 2 AirPods, and I use them all the time, but sometimes I'll be on my iPad and then I'll open up my iPhone and the AirPods will switch from what I'm listening to on my iPad to the phone. Is there any way to lock the AirPods to a particular device so it doesn't switch back and forth? Thanks.
Yeah. I usually have the opposite thing. I switch to a device and it doesn't, I have to go to settings to, to connect them, but that they don't automatically connect.
Yeah, just a reminder that the AirPod settings are in Bluetooth the Bluetooth settings on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't know of any way to say to stay on one device, even if you're starting to open up other devices at the same time.
No.
Yeah, there's a forget the device, obviously, but not a.
That's kind of terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish
that sounds like it's a suggestion, Rich. You know, the input at apple.com.
You can set
I've heard of
that in
that. I've never used it.
Bluetooth
What's the address?
Well, hold on a second. I think Aaron was going to respond. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, you could tell your AirPods to not connect to certain devices if you go through the Bluetooth settings.
Well, yeah, but I go back and forth between the two. If I turn off my iPad and now I want to listen to my iPhone, I'd have to go in and adjust the settings again. So I just wonder if there's just some way to lock it on the one you're listening to, and you'd have to take action to switch it to something else.
But when you switch to the other device, shouldn't it keep playing what you were playing on the one device? Or is that
It normally stops.
normally stops? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would have thought that would have been like a continuity feature. Is that I
Yeah.
thought that's what Apple was trying to do, is when you switched from one device to another, it would keep doing whatever you were listening to.
Well, it'll switch automatically to the new one, but the old one that I was playing will just stop, because it's just like taking the AirPods out of your ear. You know, it'll just stop until you hit play again.
Yeah. Ralph, you have a comment?
Yes, for Rich's problem, would it be possible to develop a shortcut to do what individuals precisely want to do? That's a question.
Well, I think he wants it just not to stop playing. I mean, when he switches. So.
But that's exactly the point. Is there some shortcut that he can use to tailor how he uses his devices in a way that is particular to him?
It's kind of like a screen lock, you know, when you rotate the phone so you keep it from rotating, you could just hit a button on your control panel saying, don't switch until I turn you off.
Right.
Do you know that? I think that would be the topic of another session, because there's so many things that you can use the shortcuts for. Sorry, Van, did I step on you? Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I haven't experimented with this a lot at all, but one thing that occurred to me was focus mode, that maybe you could have different focus modes. And I don't know exactly how granular the changes are as to whether you could create the equivalent of a lock for the AirPods using different focus modes. And those can be triggered, so I understand. You don't necessarily have to do anything. They can be triggered by running an app on a particular device that might kick you into that focus mode. I don't know any more than that about it. It may not be successful, but one thing that occurred to me.
Jonathan, can you put the Apple suggestions email or whatever, or website in the chat room?
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Let's see.
Looks like Aaron just posted it, so thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gabe's in the meeting, and Gabe is famous for sending feedback to Apple, but only after he makes a suggestion in our Pi meetings that plainly is a suggestion that hasn't been, taken yet. And yeah, what Apple does is send you a response that just says the feedback has been received, and then it goes into their black box of how to handle it. But when a lot of the changes that come out, when they say these have been requested by a lot of people, I don't doubt it. I think that's what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Feedback. Okay, 12. Checking something here about. Yeah, that's what I thought. I still. Well, that's iPad. No, that's not iPad. It's interesting. I'm just checking Apple feedback, and it says select the version. And this has been a problem. Maybe I'm going to address it to Aaron because I've seen this a number of times when I want to report a problem in feedback. And maybe Aaron has an idea of why when you report a feedback and you select the current, it asks you what version of the operating system you're running on your Apple device, be it a Mac or a mobile, and it's always one version back. Why is feedback one version back from being updated when everybody else is updating to the newest version? I guess that's a topic to put to feedback. I think I've said it to feedback every time I've reported is, why don't you have the latest version when you're asking for my version that has created the problem?
Do you know, Roy, I was just on the site now with the link that Aaron sent, and it's a joke. Do you know that the Monterey version in the feedback is 12.4 when 12.5 has just come out?
Exactly. That's why I just checked it, because it seemed like every time I report feedback on a pad or a Mac device, and it asks me, what version are you running? It's always one version back from the version that I'm reporting the problem with. So
yeah, that's an odd lack of continuity in-house, Aaron, I think.
And I've reported that problem every time I report a feedback. Why did you ask me for the version when I'm running, 12.4, or I'm running 12.5 and the latest version you got is 12.4? Obviously, feedback is one version behind everybody else in corporate. So strange feedback. Maybe Aaron can feed that back in a more direct line to Apple, because they don't seem to understand it. It's been there for years. That problem has existed, that they never update that list when a new
or it's the last thing to update.
Yeah, it's the last thing to update. So that does not help them get feedback on the most current version of a problem. When you're not having the problem on 12.4 and then suddenly 12.5 has the problem and you report it and you can't tell them. Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox there, but I finally had to check it now when we're checking feedback, because I've noticed it so many times. All right, we've talked about iPods. We've talked about how about anybody? Oh, I did hear. I don't know whether Hanson is here now, but I did notice that they were accelerating delivery. Oh, there he is, delivery of the monitors. So maybe yours will come sooner. Have you heard word, Hanson, that whether your
yes, I just it was in the process of preparing to ship. So I was a little bit anxious, but yesterday I was so happy to see that finally there's a changing status. So I'm expecting in a few days I should be receiving. Thank you for mentioning that.
Good. And on a related subject, Van, I guess you've got your complete package now, right?
Yeah, it seems like old business. Gotten very, very much gotten used to it.
How do you like it? How do you like it, by the way?
That Mac Studio is so quiet. Of course, I don't put anything on it that would really challenge it, but it is just a quiet machine. Sits there and does its thing.
How do you like that?
I like it a lot. I think it's more computer than I need, but that tends to be what I normally buy.
It's the best recommendation when you're going to upgrade is buy beyond what you need.
Well, you hear these people talk, and it's like, everybody I say everybody in quotes, wants to think about themselves as a pro, even though very few of us are pros in the tech, in the high tech sense. So I plead guilty to overbuying technology routinely.
Right. Anybody else have any reports on their studios? Has anybody else bought a studio or a monitor and have some comments about theirs? Guess not. So,
Roy, if there are not any more questions, shall I introduce Uwe and get that started?
I think that would be an excellent idea.
All right. Everybody, we're delighted to have with us today Uwe Dotsauer, who's a network engineer and computer consultant with over 20 years of experience, who specializes in Apple and Mac and enjoys educating users about the daily challenges in the cyber world around us. He graduated from George Mason University, sideline. When I told him that ThePi had done a scholarship in the tech department, he was really tickled. But anyway, he has a master's in telecommunications and network forensics. I put in the bio in the graphic that how delighted he was to learn about the scholarship. Anyway, without anything more, Uwe, I'll spotlight you and made you co-host so you can share your screen. Take it away.
Oh, hi. Thank you for having me. I see many familiar faces. So you probably know me already, some of you. I have new material. You've probably heard my previous presentations before, and but I always bring new material, so we can get started here. Hold on, where is it now? Keynote share. It's password. Can you see me? Can you see?
Yep, I see your screen.
Awesome. Very good.
Yep.
So yeah, thanks again for having me. It's a very dear topic because there's so many scams out there. So many people are scammed every day. So I just want to educate people, and hopefully you guys will learn something and can educate other people as well. Again, I'm gonna send you the presentation, and you guys can give them out to anybody you know. Like I said, I update them on a frequent basis so we can get started. So again, the agenda, how do we identify the scam? What can we do about the scam? Talk a little bit about securing your computer. If something bad happens, if you were exploited, exposed, how can we go against it, mitigate it, and then later on at the end of the presentation, you can ask me stuff. Again, this is the top 10 of online scams in the year 2020. First place, again, fake merchandise websites where you think you have a great deal and you want to buy merchandise, but it never arrives. Your money's gone, but it's still number one. Phishing, spoofing is still around, of course. Won't go away. Will probably get worse and worse.
Uwe, do you want to actually hit play in the present so we'll see the one screen rather than the presenter screen?
Play? I'm sorry.
In other words, we're seeing the presenter view of it with the two screens.
Oh, sure. Navigate.
If you click the icon in the top right, second to the right, I think that will flip it for you.
Yeah, it shows two monitors with the arrows going back and forth.
The second from the right.
Oh,
next to the X.
there it is. You see it now?
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's it.
Oh, no, I don't see my presentation. Hold on. Okay. You see my main screen?
Yeah, now we see it.
Well, then I think we have to go back here. Yeah, oh, okay. Okay, so top online scams. Next. These are the red flags. I always talk about the red flags because if you don't know any other schemes, you're not familiar with them, these red flags in any kind of scam, online or not online, will come up in some way or fashion. Always, when you get those phishing emails, they promise you riches, you want $1 million, you want $10 million. The Nigerian prince scheme, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So it's always they want to give you something, although they don't know you, you don't know them. So how can they, want to give you how or why they want to give you so much money? So they can meet you in person if you buy something, or the romance scam, meet somebody online, but they can never meet you. It's a red flag. For sales or phishing scams, again, pressure. There's always there's pressure involved, like shock calls. We're going to talk about that too. Shock calling. Something happened to one of your family members. You have to bring money or give them gift cards. Actually, there's another red flag. And of course, it has to always be right away. There's always pressure involved, so you can't think straight. So, and I talk about it again later. If there's pressure, always step back, tell the person, "Oh, let me call somebody," or whatever. Try to break that pressure. Take a step back, breathe, think straight, and then make decisions. With general merchandise websites that are fake, the price is too good to be true. Again, if it's more than 50% or 60% the original, like Gucci bags or something like that, any kind of expensive stuff, it's probably fake. Always research that company you're buying from, and if they're not existing, if they don't have any websites or any kind of registration or so, then it's probably fake. Red flag, big red flag. They, again, merchandise or any kind of alleged utility or internet provider wants money from you, but they don't accept cash, no checks or credit card. Big flag, cryptocurrency, they want, or gift cards. So gift cards is always a big thing. So yeah, it's fake. Also, you can't call these people during business hours, after hours. You can't get a hold of them because they're not real. So big red flag if that happens. Also, you can't find them on the internet. You can't do any research on that company you want to do business with, or the person you're talking to. With the romance scams, they don't want to meet you in person, or they can. They always have some bogus excuse, or they don't have a camera. We're going to talk about deep fake a little bit. Nowadays, they have the technology where they just steal a picture and apply motion picture technology to make that picture talk and synchronize the lip syncing from the bad person, so you never see their faces, and it's just a fake pictures. That's real scary. And also the last one is send me a photo. Again, the romance scam, online meeting, online dating. Always deny that because you never met that person. Okay, it's pretty new scam. The peer-to-peer payment scam, like Zelle, PayPal. It's been more and more exploited. So be careful who you send money to, because again, you probably never get it back once it's gone. Always make sure who the other person is. If the person you're sending money to, if all of a sudden they're the contact information changes, that's a red flag, and maybe call that person on the phone and make sure they get it right then and there. Because again, otherwise, once you hit send, it's gone. So be careful with that. Next one, Money Mule. You see those sometimes, those advertisement like on Craigslist or any other posting site, like job site, where you can work from home. You don't have to do much, but you have to open a bank account, a new bank account to get that job. And then what you do all day is just move money around. And some people are just very blind to it, but if you know what you're doing, that could get you in trouble. Somebody could prosecute you. So yeah, be careful. Don't be a money mule. Don't send money to anyone you don't know and you never met. Okay. Okay. Yes, checks are still around. If you use them still, be careful now. That's the check washing scam. Came back and it's used still. And what they do, now that I took that slide out, they burglarize postal employees to get the key for all those mailboxes on the street, and then they just harvest all the letters, and they might find cash money in there, which you shouldn't do. Never send cash money in envelope, or they get the checks and then they wash them in a solution and just change the amount of money, and then they go harvest, just cash the check. And yeah, to avoid that, if you can, set up bill pay with your bank, online banking, and if not, if you don't want to do that, you have to you should deposit your mail directly the post office, or just shortly before the mailbox will be emptied, or just hold your mail at the post office when you're on vacation and stuff. All right, next one, the phone scam. You probably still get those annoying phone calls, like telemarketers. They could be legit, but but some of them are also very bad, like the grandparent scheme, where senior citizens are being called and said something horrible has happened with their grandchild or child. They're in an accident, and you have to send $2,000 in gift cards or e-currency or whatever. Again, red flag, gift cards and e-currency. Otherwise, something happens, again, pressure, and you have to do it now. And so just be careful with that. Again, if they can't identify themselves, like police in Europe, especially in Germany, they identify themselves as police officers, and they give you a story like us. We caught a burglar and you were on the burglars list next, so it's probably a gang, and we want to keep you safe, so we'll send somebody by and give the police officer all your money or something like that. It's crazy. And a lot of people, senior citizens, they give them tens of thousands of euros, their jewelry. They just give it to somebody that just comes by and picks it up. It's horrible. A lot of people lost their retirement, and it's horrible. So yeah, don't do anything over the phone. If it's Medicare that's calling you, or Medicaid, tell them, send me a letter, and I'm not doing anything over the phone. Again, don't give out any information. And if you know it's a real scam, there's the picture of the whistle, just whistle in your phone, and I'm sure they won't call you anymore. So buy a whistle. Social engineering is a term that's been used to identify how to get information from a company, from employees of a company in an office, even a private person, get as much information from them to infiltrate that company, either online or even in person, physical security. And it's done now. We moved on from email and phone to texting. They figured out the phone number or the SMS number from your cell phone or from your organization, and they pose again as the IT administrator and try to get your login information. Always check back with the administrator, call them, and really see if that's really what the administrator said. But the administrator will never ask you for a login information and password, because there are other tools to reset your password or something like that. So never give out information to anybody you don't know. Okay. Mentioned it already, phishing email, again, lottery, prize money, riches, the Nigerian prince scheme. Actually, I just read that the Nigerian prince scheme actually goes back to the 1500s, of course, not electronically, but it has its origins in the 1500s, 1600s. Again, they try to free a king or something, false pretenses, and again, promise of money. And that came all the way in the 21st century. It's very interesting. Fake charities, fake investment, so and so on. Again, be very, very cautious of that. Here are some examples of some fake emails. If you do PayPal, and I get those all the time as well. And you can spot them. They're very bad. Graphics are worse than the original. They're kind of close, but misspellings in there, bad grammar, fake links. If you hover over that link and you don't go to a PayPal site, it gives it away. It's another example. Microsoft, yeah, very popular. Of course, they want money from you, overdue, but yeah, these are all fake, poor grammar again. If you have an original email of Microsoft, just save them so you can always compare them to the potentially fake one. Another example, Amazon, looks all legit, and oh my God, somebody from Indonesia here in this example tried to go into your account, and then they want to verify it, but that's a link to their website to get your username and password. So always have an original, and never ever click on those emails. They say it's original. Always go to the original site, to Amazon, and check there. Never ever open that email link here. So smishing is just evolvement from other phishing emails. It's just not right now. It's now on your iPhone, your Android phone. And again, they pose as bank, PayPal, IRS, and so many other things. So don't trust that. Always check back with the bank. Call them. Hey, did you really send me something like that? Never ever reply to those smishing texts. So just delete them right away. Here are some examples. There's always a link to some fake site and try to get your information, your, again, username, password. Yeah, so just delete them immediately. Here, this is a new topic. Extortion came up again in the news a couple of days ago. There was the kids, and usually target kids, but there's some adults as well being blackmailed for their nude photos, whatever they send. Yeah, it's horrible because there was one teenager that killed himself just because he was so ashamed. So yeah, please give that to your grandchildren, children, if you have grandchildren, to educate them, because this is a real problem, and kids are getting younger and younger. As you can see, you know, like 10-year-olds have iPhones already. So get the word out, and also, as you probably know me already, all these blue underlined words, those are hyperlinks. Actually, this is a link to a website where you can check an email if that email has already been exposed or is on a list of being exposed to be exploited. So you can check if your email account is in one of those databases. So yeah, spread the word here. It's a big problem. The classic pop-up adware scheme, they pop up left and right if you clicked on something bad, maybe an email you got and you were just curious, and sometimes they stay there unless you clean your computer browser off, clear history, clear cookies. They're annoying, but they also can lead to exploitation. Have some adware, screen adware cleaner as well. Malwarebytes for the Apple community. Malwarebytes comes to mind. They have a free version and then a paid version. Always go with the paid version. And yeah, just be careful where you go on the web. There's some examples here. Yeah, I had a case where one person called that number, thought it was Apple, and of course it was a fake tech support scheme. And he downloaded that software they told him to, which you never should do. And it's a remote software. And they got into his computer. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but yet he gave his credit card. And I told him after the fact, of course, he asked me if that's legit. And I said, no, it's fake. Go to your bank, call the credit card company, get your credit card frozen, whatever. Luckily he did. And luckily he didn't have to pay any money to them. It will stop the payment. You always get those, every once in a while you get those cleaner updates or free malware cleaner. Those are all fakes, and they redirect your browser to some other website if you look for something, if you search for something. So again, a malware cleaner, a legitimate malware cleaner, you should have, or a good internet security suite. Another fake tech scam. And here you see those supposedly tech support people. They're in an office, and that's what they do all day. Sometimes they call you. Again, you get emails. They post online ads that are so cheap. Of course, everything's done remote, and it costs you money if they try to exploit you in terms of blackmailing you, ransomware, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Actually, it's the next slide. And yeah, be careful. Don't do anything remote, even if it's HP. Sometimes I'm not too cautious and said, no, I'd rather do it myself. Just tell me what to do. So ransomware is a bad, very, very bad and still common exploitation and blackmail. You pick it up a free application, or again, if you click on a link in an email, again, supposedly free tech support or something like that. And then inadvertently you install something that you shouldn't. And then they hold you hostage for ransom, your data. Yeah, again, be very careful what you click on. This is some example, like FBI or IRS, but it's not the FBI or the IRS because they never, again, accept gift cards or PayPal or e-currency. Another one. And here is actually romance scams are still very popular. And you think you met the love of your life, but you see it's fake. They sometimes talk to you months, maybe a year, and then all of a sudden the money talk is coming into play. They either ask you to send money in your name to somebody or hold money. Yeah, so it's again a red flag. Again, they can never meet you in person. And now, last time I said, do FaceTime, but with the deepfake I mentioned earlier, the deepfake technology, now they just, again, they steal a picture from a soldier and just apply the deepfake technology software and just mimic the mouth movements and look so real. So please be careful, get an in-person meeting. Mentioned a little bit about online shopping, again, top one scheme in 2020. How to spot that website. The design is sometimes of that website is almost identical to the original one, like Gucci or whatever, expensive stuff. So you have to be careful, and you can spot it even if you're not a pro. It's just off. Like the website is. The name of the website is almost identical to the original, but something's very off. Domain name, sometimes even there's no website name, there's only like IP addresses. The product descriptions are very short or even non-existing. That's a giveaway. Again, the price is too good to be true. What we mentioned before, payment methods, like gift cards, or they want e-currency, that's a giveaway, bad sign. And again, no contact information. You can find a company online to research them. Here are some examples. I'm sorry, it's a bad picture, but the product detail is usually much longer, and there should be measurements, different colors available. They are all non-existent. Here's the URL. Nowadays, each website that deals with commerce has a little padlock in that area where the red circle is. And you can click on that padlock, and the padlock opens up and tells you the certificate of that website. And the certificate needs to be valid, needs to be a real certificate, and it shows it's authentic. So if that's not there and there's no HTTPS, I would not shop at that website because it's unsecure and it could be fake. It probably is fake. So you think, hey, hold on a minute. I thought I'm secure. So you think you're secure, but you're not. So how can we make it secure? How can we prevent you from being a victim? You must lock your computer and take care of your computer as well. So any computer, Windows, Mac, whatever, you have to keep up with your updates, incremental updates and the big upgrades. Microsoft and Apple, they support the OSs like the three last operating systems. They still support with regular updates. If you have an older computer, can't get any updates anymore, even iPads, because they're designed like they're like in 4 or 5 years, your iPad, iPhone can't get updates anymore. They cut you off. So unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And you have to get a new device to be secure again. Otherwise, I would not do any financial stuff or anything else. So keep them upgraded. Keep Safari, Chrome, any kind of browser, keep them updated as well, because you're on the web with them. You have to keep up with technology. So be careful. There are built-in firewalls in some of the operating systems. You can also get third-party firewall, but be careful. If you lock down your computer too much, you can't get anywhere and nothing comes to you. So make sure that's properly configured. If you have many passwords, which we all do, you might want to go with a password manager. And we're going to see them a little bit later, like built-in password managers, like in Safari browser. Overall security, make sure you have something on your computer. Internet Security Suite, Norton, or whatever, Symantec. I mentioned before, malware scanners, Malwarebytes, again, have something if you do a lot of web traffic. Also have a true online backup or backup in combination with online backup, also a local backup, have that in place just to make sure you have all your data just in case of a crash or a ransomware attack, because that's going to be your lifeline. That's the next topic. Backup is your lifeline. If you've been exploited, again, ransomware, your computer's locked down, what are you going to do? If you don't have any backup, you're probably going to pay, which you shouldn't. So that's why I'm telling you now, please make sure you have data, any kind of important information backed up with the 3-2-1 backup rule you see on here on the side, on the right side. And yeah, make sure it's backed up. Like I said, it's a life insurance. Next, I want to talk about the password itself. It should be complex. New evidence has shown that a longer password is better than added characters or capitalization with numbers. So you can still do the special character, but it has to be a long password, not a eight character password. Because the bad guys, they evolve as well. Technology evolves as well. So we have to keep up. Again, if it's too many passwords, get a password manager or write them down and keep that list a safe location where you can find it again. So be unique with your passwords. If you need help with figuring out passwords, there are free online password generators just to give you, a unique password, and you can decide 16 characters or more. You can configure them as well, those generators. And also, yeah, change, especially financial passwords, like passwords to financial websites, change them on a regular basis, just to make sure the bad guys don't figure them out. This, again, those are hyperlinks, the blue underlined words. You can check your account, your email account, or email addresses, better said, if they have already been exploited or they're in a list in the dark web. And those are 3 different websites where you can check your email address if there are any kind of accounts associated to those email addresses are on the dark web or on some kind of bad guys list. So yeah, check just to make sure. And if so, if you've been exploited, change the password. Password managers, I already talked a little bit about them. Those are password managers already integrated in the browser, like Chrome, Safari, and there's Firefox. So I like Safari because they already you see the little yellow triangle with the exclamation point that shows you the password already been used or reused, or it's too weak. So that helps you to keep them straight in your iPhone or on your desktop. Do it like the Dutch. Treat your password like your underwear. Never share them with anyone. Change them regularly. Keep them off your desk. And Maastricht University is in Maastricht, Netherlands. So that's why I mentioned it. All right. So online accounts, financial, banking, online trading, whatever. I would say make an effort to really, really secure them. Good passwords. If two-factor authentication is available, sign up for that. The two-factor with texting, where you get an online code, so you're authenticated twice, is good. But if you can put that website or that password on an authenticator like Google or Microsoft, it's much better because it's secure, because it's on your phone. It's been with you, the authenticator in your phone for a long time, and that code can be intercepted by some bad guys. So make sure you sign up for that and use that. And as always, if you want to use your password manager, make sure your password manager changes that banking password on a regular basis. Here's some examples. I told you guys Microsoft or Google. That's a very good two-factor authentication. You should prefer that. So what else can we do? We can educate ourselves. Knowing is preventing. Each of that link is a direct link to the websites where you can sign up for either free newsletters, free text messages for an alert sometimes. You learn a lot. Scamicide is pretty good. It's a daily email from a lawyer, Mr. Weissman. And you learn so much, and also keeps you updated in certain trials if they caught some bad guys and if they got jail time. It's really, you learn a lot, and it's a daily short email. I mean, fairly short. And yeah, again, it's just like reading newspaper. It's the world we live in. If you're on the web active, please sign up, because you learn so much. And the SANS Institute is very famous for their online security, internet security. They have courses as well. It's enterprise grade security enterprise courses. So and they talk about in their newsletters about industry standards or exploits in the industry. So you learn a lot. Very good. Another thing you can do, you should do, to freeze your credit. I wanted to buy a car, and the sales guy wanted to run my credit, and he couldn't because my credit was frozen. So you can go online and subscribe to those 3 different websites, those companies. I think it's $10 or so per website, and you can freeze and refreeze like for a day or 2 days. I wouldn't do more than 2 days, maybe even just 1 day, and just tell either the car company, hey, do it now, otherwise it's going to be frozen again. Don't have it, like weeks and weeks, because the risk is just too big. Also, if you have grandchildren or even newborns that have already Social Security, I would sign them up too, because we've heard from there are cases out there where actually newborns, their name has been exploited, and they use their Social Security number to open accounts in their names, get loans, and then once they turn, the real person turns 18 and then has bad credit or can't get credit at all. So yeah, please have foresight and sign up. It's worth it. It's really worth it, and it's good security. Okay, so it happened. You've been exploited. You've been blackmailed, or if ransomware on your computer. What can you do? Call a professional. If it's something, you gave out your account number, banking information, call your bank. If you give them a credit card, call the credit card company. They have special people that train for that. Also did hyperlink here, identify the theft, tells you the steps, step by step. So please use that as a guide, and hopefully it will never come to it. Also, you can be proactive, so the next person won't get scammed if you were scammed. We can report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and only if we can't stay silent if we've been exploited, we have to tell people, the authorities, so it won't happen again. Okay, so talked all about exploitations on online crime, online scams. What is the takeaway? Be skeptical, suspicious. Again, if you get emails, text, phone calls, again with the red flags I mentioned in the previous slides, be just suspicious. Pressure, if there's pressure, again, step back, take a deep breath, think clearly, call people that are involved, that supposedly involved in that emergency or that scenario that person on the phone describes. So be visual for that. On the electronic side, computer side, keep your iOS updated and secure. Have some security on your computer. Keep up with the updates, like I mentioned before. Also, stranger danger. Don't give out information, even if they say it's the RS, the sheriff, or whatever. Always have a back way to call them and to verify if it's really true. Again, we live in a time we have to do that. If you're really unsure about something, ask professionals. Maybe your family, maybe you have a computer guy in your family. Also, you can call a computer company. That they're legit. law enforcement, I mentioned before, law enforcement you can call as well. And yeah, the very iron rule, last but not least, again, I can't tell you enough, never give out your passwords. And real IT people will never ask for your password. Next. Yeah, we need you to spread the word. Again, I will send that presentation out to John, so you can distribute it or post it on your website. And yes, any questions? Anybody?
Yeah, why don't you stop your share, Uwe, and then
I'm
we'll
stopping my share.
come back to everyone.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Yeah, so let me get started, Uwe. One problem is that I think all of our long-term mobile numbers are in the dark web. And that's what accounts for I think you called it smishing, text things. Why in the world am I getting this? But there's no real solution to that, is there, other than getting a new phone number?
As far as I know, with the telemarketing, you can get on that no call list, but that's only temporarily. But in the dark web, probably not. There is that it's called, I think, Lifeline. They advertise on TV all the time, where they look for your information in the dark web and remove it too. I have not experienced, or I don't subscribe to them. But yeah, if you can get, if they can't get rid of it, I told you what to look for. You can, on the iPhone, you can block numbers, block messages, but it's a cat and mouse game, because they always fake a number, they fake numbers, fake messages, and or fake email addresses. So you just have to keep, right now, as far as I know, just block them as best as you can.
Jonathan,
sorry, you're right.
I was just going to comment to your question about changing phone number. That really doesn't do any good nowadays with the power of computing, because basically every possible combination of numbers can be stored in a phishing app that's on the dark web. So basically they just get a database of all. And the minute this is the problem of answering a number. The minute you answer a phone, it gets flagged as a valid number, or a number that at least answers. And so that doesn't work. And also the same thing doesn't work for having email addresses that we currently have. I mean, most of us created them using our names, Roy Wagner or something. They just put together every combination of first name, last name, and popular websites and send them out to all that. So there is no escaping them knowing that you exist, except having totally random numbers of your email address. So that's one thing that, kind of goes there. So I think Jim has another question. Or
I have a question. I recently was making a doctor's appointment for a new doctor. Well, it wasn't a new doctor, but anyway, it was a different office, and they wanted a copy of my Medicare card, which is not what they usually do, and also my government card. And so I put them on the desk and scanned them, and I noticed on the back of a Medicare card is one of these, what do you call those things? Those little square things that you
Oh, the chip card? The chip?
What do you call it?
The chip? You mean the chip?
It's not a chip. Medicare doesn't have a chip.
Jim?
Huh?
Is it a QR code, Jim?
Yeah, a QR code.
Okay.
So they're sitting with the back up, it's on the back is a QR code on your Medicare card. Probably most of our members are on Medicare. So just out of curiosity, I scanned it. Well, to my surprise, up came a search of Google of my name. I mean, in other words, all the things that on our Google listed, it had things where I've done interviews, it had where I live, where I used to live. God only knows what all it has, but it popped up just by my scanning that QR code, which any doctor's office would normally have access to, and maybe I guess the drugstore, you don't use the Medicare card in drugstores, I don't guess. But anyway, I was just wondering if you're familiar with that and what are the security implications that anybody that has access to your Medicare card being able to pull up your where you're shown on a Google search.
Yeah, as less data is out there, the better it is. Depending, sometimes you can tell Google, hey, restrict my information, but I don't know what that involves. It's probably a long process, very hard to do. Sometimes you need a lawyer, for some certain extent, but yeah, with the Medicare card, don't know how to. Actually, this is actually good second topic. Actually, you have to look that up in terms of security. What the government, in terms of security, has with Medicare cards.
Any discussion of this on, is there any site that has a discussion of this as to, first of all, why is it there? Why do they need that?
Jim, may I, because I actually just did this, and it turns out all the QR code does is show your Medicare information. And then it has a button, because this is what happens with any QR code you open, of search the web. So what you're doing by clicking on the search the web button is you're Googling yourself, and not surprisingly, there's too much about you.
I don't remember clicking on a search the web button. I mean, I just scanned it and up came the search you're talking about came up. I don't recall, maybe I did.
It does automatically, it does automatically come up if you scan the code. I just did it also. So, but basically, yes, it is your name. And then the next thing it does is it does go to a search engine. So
anybody who can scan my code can pull that up.
Yeah, but they just get your name. They just have your name.
Yeah, but it automatically brought up this list of stuff on Google of all the listings where, including some sensitive, not monetary stuff, but sensitive.
No, but
stuff.
Jim, I think the point I'm trying to make is it's no different from anyone putting your name into a Google search.
Right.
They don't need your card. All they need is your name.
Right.
So I think there's less to be excited about this.
It is interesting they did put it on the back, that it does have your name. So it
Okay,
your Medicare number.
My name anyway, but it's interesting that it just came up. Okay, so you think it's really nothing because somebody can do it without that QR.
Right.
And I guess
the QR code includes your Medicare number, which is also on the card on the front. But interestingly, the QR code also includes some additional numbers and letters that I don't find on the card anywhere following my Medicare number. So I don't know what those numbers are, or the letters
I think
are.
it must be for medical offices, Dan.
Yeah, perhaps some sort of a special designation there. But again, that's the only thing that I noticed, that there was some additional information that wasn't human readable.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll calm down.
Hanson is next with a question.
Okay, my question is that a while ago I was advised, I think here this organization to set up administrators partition or either partition or set my normally used one, but also administrative one for security reasons. Now, I do not hear people talking anymore. Now I'm going to migrate to a new system. Should I also set up administrative route and also a regular used route? I think I was told that normally everything downloaded will need to go to the administrative one. So my question is, is this still valid for security? Does it help to set up administrative as well as a normal, regular use path?
You talking about on your computer, or I'm sorry?
Yes, on the Mac computer. I had a iMac which I set up. I think it was a long time ago, in maybe 2013, 15 kind of time range. But now I'm trying to migrate to a new iMac, and I have not set up yet. Should I do it?
Oh, yeah, always set up the administrative account. Yes, and by default, the first account you create, believe it's still the administrative account. Yes.
But then there's no safety. I mean, the previous one is usually I always log into not to the administrative one, but the regular account, and then I use that. And but whenever I want to change any settings or download something, then I was asked for administrative password, administrative name and password.
Yeah.
So I still this is the secure route to go.
I mean, if it's just you can elevate that. I guess you have a standard account, elevate that standard account to an administrative account. But you're saying that if that's a security feature for you, I mean, if it's just you and if it's not a different person, if you have a other account, the son or whatever, a visitor, whatever, just have them like on a standard account or the guest account, which they can't do much. They can't do any changes to the Mac, and it deletes itself after a while. If that's the scenario, I'm understanding, if you have guests, just a guest account for yourself, have elevated, have that second account be elevated to administrator. That's, I think, but if you were talking about, and I don't have that in my slides, I had it, gosh, I forgot. There's a special feature where you can actually restrict the computer on Apple Mac OS. What you can download, you just have to, it's a privacy security, kind of like a lockbox where you just selected only download from the Apple, the store, from the Apple store, the App Store, and nowhere else. And if you want to install something else, you can install it because it's not from the Apple Store and it's not vetted. So that's a security feature, a very small one, but it helps if you don't know how to go away, because you can again enable to not to go through the App Store or only download from the App Store.
Okay. I think Aaron has a comment on this, right?
Thanks, Roy. So yeah, Kenton, I think you're referring to a common or a recommended practice of, even though the initial account you create is indeed an admin account, what you're suggesting is, am I safer by creating a second account, which is just a standard account, and just using the standard account, and then just authenticating using the admin account when I need to? And you can do that if you really feel like it's going to protect you better, and it probably would, but Apple's default choice is that the initial account, which is presumably your account, is the administrator account. And the recommendation is that you use that administrator account. If you do create 2 accounts for yourself, there's a possibility that it's going to become confusing for you, especially if you log in to both accounts. You're going to not remember, where you downloaded something, and you won't be able to access it from the other account. So my recommendation to you is, I appreciate that you're thinking in these terms, because this is a common security technique, especially in enterprise environments. But for consumers, it could add more complexity than is really necessary. I don't recommend that you do it. I think you should just, on your new Mac, just create the initial administrator account, use that. And there's plenty of other things that Uwe and others have talked about that can help you be a more secure internet user, instead of doing something like this, which it's well-intentioned, but it can cause problems, especially it can cause a lot of confusion. So yeah, I sorry to be long-winded. I appreciate your question. It's definitely something that system administrators in the enterprise environment argue back and forth extensively, which is a better way to handle this. But for consumers, I really feel like your best bet is to simply use the initial administrator account for yourself. If you have other users, do exactly what Uwe suggested and create accounts for them, or use the built-in guest account, such as for visitors. But having to remember to go back and forth between an admin account is just more complexity than I think you want to deal with. And if you want to research it further, which you can do a search on the internet for Mac standard versus admin user, and you'll be able to find a lot of writing about this topic. But this is typically something that's done in enterprise environments, such as Uwe supports, and it's for consumers. I just feel like it can add a lot of complexity and create confusion. So anyway, thanks for letting me chime in, Roy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answer. It helps a lot. I would like to keep things simple, so I do not want to create. I just want to make sure it's okay. But seems to be so. This will save me a lot of time and keep me. I know that I'm in good hands. Thank you very much.
Okay, Fergie, you're up next.
Yeah, my question's about scams and things like that with email. I've heard that if you get a scam or some hazardous email, if you open that email, that can let a hacker get into your computer. But if you delete the email without opening, then you're safe. And I do pretty good with email. I haven't been caught yet, but a couple of times with phishing, I think I got caught a couple of them. It wasn't serious. But when it comes to text messages, I get a lot of scam or unwanted text messages. And I can't tell if it's hazardous or not. Without some of them, looks like it might be legitimate. And I want to open the thing. If I open it, am I getting in trouble anyway? If I don't click on anything that's in it, just open it and then delete it with text messages? Or is it dangerous if you open a text message and there's a hacker lurking there? I don't know about text messaging.
Text messages, if you're not being prompted to install something, sometimes it's just a redirect to a website or something. I would say it's safe, but if you're prompted or try to install something, I would be, concerned. So
no, I never. If anybody says wants me to go someplace or do something, I never do it if it's suspicious.
Yeah.
But if it just by the fact of opening it, email it, if you just open it, you can get caught. The spam, with the text message, it's the same thing with text messages, and I could get hooked quite easily just because I opened it to see what it was.
Yeah, the ones I get is like tons of people attached to it, and it's just phone numbers to the text, like a group text. And yeah, it's a gobbledygook, like from an email. The email is texted you. it's gobbledygook. I mean, it's just like characters, doesn't make sense. And it's automatic delete. Again, what I said before, you can block them, but again, they spoof emails, they spoof telephone numbers. Unfortunately, and I haven't seen. There is some security software for the actually for the phone as well. And actually, you guys probably already know that in the iOS 16, which is coming out for the iPhone and iPad, there's a lockdown mode. I just read about it a couple of weeks ago. And you can lock down your iPhone very, very tight. But then again, keep in mind, you trade off convenience to security, for security. So you have to choose security or convenience, because it can lock down. If you want to Google that, I think it's lockdown mode, it's called, in iOS 16, which is coming out September or so, fall. So you can lock it down very, very secure, they said. We don't know yet if it's very, very secure. There's always, the black hats, the bad minds, the criminals. I always try to figure out, but actually also Apple has increased the bounty for exploitations, for exploits, any wrong code, any kind of backdoor in the iOS or OS Apple operating system to $2 million. So they will get a lot of help figuring out what's secure and if the code is bad coding. So that makes me hopeful. Again, lockdown mode, the trade-off security or convenience. That's what we have to decide.
So if a message does suggest downloading something, use, extreme caution of connecting to its suggestion to download. You might want to second source it by going directly to the site that's suggesting it or something to find out. Don't click on the download and assume it's a legitimate request. Jonathan, you're next.
Yes, more about spoof phone numbers and iPhone blocking. So first, we'd been using Nomorobo on our home phone for a long, long time, and it worked fine for a long time until spoofing came along. And the thing that's crazy about spoofing is we got the same, crazy spam. We notice you have a disability account and want to do this. The same message came from about a dozen different phones with different locations. This was our introduction to spoofing. So Nomorobo basically catches one call in the day and 7 more, it doesn't. So roll the tape forward to the iPhone. And the thing I really wanted to ask you about, Uwe, is that right now I have a lot of choices, but none of them really work optimally. There's a RoboKiller is an app for the iPhone. Nomorobo you can activate for the iPhone. And then Verizon has one called Call Filter you can activate. Are there any tools like this that you recommend, Uwe?
I haven't, to be honest with you, not explored that route, but I know of those apps, on the App Store or an Android store. Also the providers, your wireless provider, AT&T, and you mentioned Verizon, they provide actually I guess they filter out already before you get the phone call. They select out those fake phone calls on their end. So I have not explored which one is better. And there's also the federal side, the no call list, but with that there's a back door. I might have mentioned it, that it's timely limited. I mean, you might be on that, you won't receive phone calls maybe for 3 months or so. I'm not sure how much time it is, but then after 3 or 6 months, you get those spams again. So spam phone call, because Congress allowed it to be a time limited, not forever. So Congress has to do something in combination with the providers. Again, it's probably money because the if telemarketing is in place, it's always about money, but about security, it's also security. So.
Well, but I mean, wouldn't you think the cellular providers would have the ability to detect whether a call was a spoof from a spoof number or not?
They do. I don't know how.
But they don't block most of those.
No, some of them do. I get messages that says it's spam or likely spam from my provider. So,
Who's your provider?
T-Mobile now, but I think Verizon did it too. I was going to make two comments for Jonathan there. One is related to the congressional, do not call list. That has always been, unfortunately, not very well managed by our government or Congress. And one of the things they exclude from that is political calls. So calls soliciting money and calls from politicians are on the we can call list of the do not call list. So, but also related to phone calls, if you get a spam call, and this I heard, and I'm not sure how valid it is, but when you answer that call, if you accidentally answer a spam call, be cautious what you say and avoid positive and negative responses. Just use the word hello, and if you determine it's spam, hang up. I have heard stories that if you wait a minute.
Their session is.
I guess Jim is just talking in the background. What I was going to say is a lot of times you answer a phone call and you say, you answer yes or no or something like that. And okay. So you want to do that because it's often been mentioned that they can record the fact that you said yes or no, and then tack it into, oh, you want to purchase this product? Yes, I do. So if you get a spam call, avoid saying anything that could be misconstrued or recorded and turned into a positive or turned into a purchase or an agreement. Okay. Now I think Jim is next now.
Let's see here.
Nope, now you muted yourself.
In addition to what Jonathan said, I feel the same way. In this high-tech world, can't they design something that scans every one of your incoming emails and says, here's something you should delete or even actually delete it? I mean, it seems to me we're sort of non-high-tech on this. And you have to read the thing and read whether it's why it's a scam. And I think I've gotten scamware that said that it's anti-scamware. And it says, oh, and we've charged your account $500, for the next year, we're going to do this, but it doesn't have my name, my phone number, and it doesn't seem to be charged. So it's scamware. Isn't there something, shouldn't Apple develop something that will scan all our stuff and try to ameliorate the problem?
Well, they have
question for our speaker and anybody else.
Yeah. Well, if I can real quick, they have spam filters. I mean, I have a Microsoft account, Hotmail. I see a lot of spam or junk in the junk email folder, but every once in a while I get one in the inbox. And if I get them on the phone, sometimes they look so real as well. But then if you look closer again, the address where it's from, if it's a fake email address, and it's really sometimes obvious. And yeah, it's crazy how they get around those filters. Again, email providers must do better, but again, maybe it's like you said with the political phone calls. There's money, and interests. There are certain interests that need to be met, and again, convenience versus security plus money.
And many do get into the junk folder, but the junk senders know how to get by those things. Once they realize they went into the junk folder, they figure out what put them in the junk folder, and then they change their policy, and so it doesn't get in your junk folder. Moving on to Van.
someone on the call may be able to help me with this, but with respect to the question of why can't the providers sort this out, there was some legislation a while ago that went into effect some time ago, I think, and I don't remember the acronyms, what they mean. It's called Shaken and Stirred was the acronyms. And it had to do with expecting providers to use their technology to validate that the phone number that was actually being displayed was the actual phone number that was, making the call. And that sounded like a really good deal. And I think the largest providers have been required by legislation or regulation to put that in place. And I thought, well, why hasn't that sorted this out? And I don't know if this is true, but I heard a couple months ago that, well, in order to not be overly burdensome, that excludes the smallest providers. So if you're a scammer or a spammer, you no longer deal with the big guys, you deal with the small providers that have been excluded from the regulations that were put in place to try to stop the spoofing. I mean, I don't know, others may be able to say that more effectively than I did, but that's my current understanding.
Diana?
Okay, I'm going to introduce a totally different pet peeve that has to do with the inconvenience of having to get a code off your phone and type it in order to be allowed into a particular website. This, I realize, is a minor inconvenience for many people, and it would be much more disturbing to have somebody stealing your money or whatever if you don't have the correct credentials to log in. But in addition to the fact that they sometimes don't leave enough time for the people who don't keep the phone attached to themselves to go get it and get the code. So that's one gripe. But the other one, my bank, it lets me in one time without anything except the usual password, credential. And then the next time, and it might be only an hour later, on the same computer, it wants me to put a code in. And I don't understand that. What could possibly have changed between the first login and the second if I'm using the same computer with the same password every single time? So that's my gripe. And I don't understand I could understand it if there was an operating system upgrade in between or something else like that so that the programming changed. But nothing has changed as far as I know, except the fact that some time has gone by between the first login and the second one. So why would they let me in with just my normal username and password at 9 o'clock in the morning and then require me to run to get my phone for a code an hour later? Can anybody explain that?
I would say it's a security policy, through time, just,
But the thing on the screen says, we don't recognize this computer.
Oh.
And that's obviously a lie because it's the same computer.
Unless your ISP provider has a floating number for you if you don't have the same IP address. Sometimes they do that, but I don't know whether they're still doing that policy of switching.
I mentioned that it was a security policy likely. I would guess that it is too, and they don't want you to know what the procedures are that they follow.
Right.
To require that. In fact, one of the things I was thinking of, Diana, when you were talking was that the very fact that you've called in twice in reasonably close succession could be a trigger in and of itself.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's a depressing thought. So if I get something in the mail in the afternoon and want to go back and log into my account a few hours after I did it in the morning, That's a trigger. Wonderful. I guess I shouldn't pay my bills too fast.
Yep.
Well, all right. Well, that's, I guess, one thought. Is there anything else anybody can think of?
Yeah, if you have your cookies turned off, it won't recognize your computer. And you have to re-identify it each time.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything. I haven't changed anything with that. Everything is exactly the same. And in fact, I don't even restart my computer very often unless there's a power outage or something. It's basically plugged in and turned on all the time. So it really baffles me as to what's going on.
Does sound strange.
So back to the first thing you commented on about having to type in the second factor code from your second factor device onto your other device. I wasn't sure I caught that, but what should happen in most cases, in the vast majority of cases, there's maybe 90% of cases, is the second factor will be pasted for you into the predictive text field on your device. So if it's an iPhone or an iPad, you should just have to tap it and it will fill it in for you, even if it's not the device that you have set up as your second factor. So if you have handoff turned on to share, all your devices, you should be able to just tap in the predictive text, the second factor code, and it will paste it right into the field for your second factor. So I don't know if you're not seeing that, or if you don't have handoff turned on, or.
No, my devices are not that close together. My iMac is in my office. My phone is usually in my purse, which is often, 20 feet away, 30 feet away.
The proximity doesn't matter. It's whether the devices are signed into your Apple ID.
How do you do that, Aaron?
Handoff.
How do you try to sign into it?
What operating system is required for handoff? What version?
Anything in the last 5 years or 7 years or something.
I have not seen that where it automatically fills in the field. I always have to memorize the 6 digits.
Oh, I've seen it. It's wonderful. It's magic.
It would be nice.
Well, my
iMac
is not
just about every time.
Stop. Sorry, one person at a time, Aaron, and then back to Diana.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. I think maybe Van has experienced what I'm referring to, but in my experience, whenever I have to type in a second factor code, I usually just go to the predictive text field on my phone and tap it. The same place where I would find like the password, and it just fills in for me. And it doesn't matter if I'm on my iPad or my Mac. By virtue of using handoff, it'll copy it over from my iPhone, which is typically my second factor device, because it has my phone number, to whatever device I'm on. So it's elegant. I'm sorry to hear that you're having that frustration, but I think that's largely been solved. Every now and then I do find a situation where a particular website, will not do that. It's like 5 or 10% of them, have done something to prevent that from happening. It's extremely rare.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the operating system. My phone is up to date, but my iMac is an older model on Catalina, and
that should be sufficient.
So maybe it will work, but I would bet that my bank's webpage won't cooperate.
Which bank do you have?
Bank, Truist.
Well, they've updated, so they've
updated, but that, I'll try what Aaron suggests and see if it works, because I would certainly love it if it would.
Handoff turned on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't usually do that, so I'll have to look at it.
Okay, David, you're next.
Diana, I had the same issue initially, and then since it's a notification, I just turn on messages on my computer so that it's on the screen, and I don't have to worry about looking over at the phone or the fact that it might disappear so quickly. It's on my screen all the time, right next to what I'm working on.
Okay. Thank you.
Just open up messages on your computer and you'll see the same notification with the code in there.
All right, I'll try that. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, David. Van?
Diana, the other thing that'll happen, and you'll know when you've got it working, is that on your Mac, you don't even have to look at notification. Well, you'll see the item come in as a notification, but then Safari will actually present it to you as something just to click on underneath the field where you're supposed to enter the code. It actually appears as a little bubble on the Mac, or at least on my Mac, underneath the field where it wants me to type the code. I just click it and the code is automatically pasted in.
I'll look for that too. I don't remember seeing anything like that, but maybe I just am not really observant.
Yeah, that's where your predictive typing goes.
Yep, exactly.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
it's the equivalent of Aaron, I guess, of the predictive text on an iOS device.
Okay, Ralph? Thank you, Van.
Yes, I have a different topic, so I don't know if anyone else wants to go first, but I want to change the subject to passwords and the difference between Apple and, I hate to say it, Google. So no one else has raised their hand, so I'll go ahead. I've had a wonderful experience with hours of tech support with Apple, which is just perfect. And that's the reason I, like some others in the Pi, on a major purchase, that is a purchase that is over some dollar amount, and you can set your own threshold, I will always buy additional tech support to extend the term that Apple offers for free, because I believe that you do get much better service. The point that I want to make is, in these hours with Apple, I've had to change passwords on Google and Apple many, many times, and I think I've finally got some problems straightened out. At least I'm on the right path. But what Google offers that Apple does not is when you have to enter a new password twice, you have to enter it once and then verify it. Google gives you the option, since no one is looking over my shoulder in my office that you see right now on my screen. I turn a little checkbox on in Google and it displays the characters. It doesn't display in asterisk once you type a number or a character. The way Apple does, it shows it for a moment and then quickly changes it to an asterisk. Google, by clicking a checkbox, displays what you type. And before you hit enter, after entering your password twice, and they have to be identical, and it's 50 characters of upper and lower case and special characters, you can look at it and sit there for minutes and look at every character. You can see that they're identical, that the first character and last character are identical. You can count the number of characters, which you could do with asterisks, but you can compare every character and make sure you've entered twice, hit enter, and they match, and you know they match, and Google confirms it. Apple will also confirm it, but you can't determine, where did I make the mistake? Did I have fat finger syndrome? So I wish Apple would add that. And once I get all my other problems solved, my problem number 50 is to ask Apple to give me that option. Now, you don't want to use it if you're in public and have a notebook computer. but for an iMac, at least, I'd love to have that option. Thank you.
Okay.
If you're using the keychain or even a third-party password manager, I'm not sure why you would even have to type a password. I mean, I think the goal for all of us is to not ever have to type passwords. So I don't know. I'm trying to think when I even had to type a password. I mean, if you're using, keychain, or if you're using a third-party password manager, I think the beauty of it is that all you have to do is click to populate a password field. You never have to actually type something in. And now with macOS 13 and iOS 16, we're moving to passkeys, which will totally eliminate the need to create passwords. I think it's clear the direction that we should try to move in, which is to never have to deal with passwords, because as Ralph pointed out, they're the weak link. So that's my 2 cents.
May I respond to your comment? You're saying that with iOS 16, or the new version of iOS that's coming out this autumn, and with Ventura, we're going to eliminate passwords?
So
or the
the
need for
passkey,
passwords?
yeah, so the passkey capability would be built into those operating systems. The websites will still have to provide that functionality. So you're not going to do away with passwords overnight, but as more and more websites adopt passkeys, yes, you'll be able to do away with having to log in using a password. And I think the reason why we're pretty confident passkeys will be widely adopted is because it's not just an Apple thing. It's an industry standard that Microsoft and Google and 100 other companies are standing behind. So I think a year from now, we'll be having a different conversation. People will be moving to passkeys and not as reliant on passwords. And so we'll be in a much better situation. But for now, I feel really good about not having to ever type in passwords, because I use the keychain utility on the Apple platform, and some of you may use a third-party password manager. And if you're using it the way it's intended, you should never have to type in a password. So, Ralph, maybe you're talking about a scenario where there's a mistake and you have to kind of parse through a passcode and figure out why 2 of them are different. I don't know. And that could be totally valid. But for me, in my experience using passwords, I never have to type them in. That's the whole beauty behind using keychain or a third-party password manager. Because once you start having to type something in manually, as Ralph said, you run the risk of fat fingering it and other problems. So it's better if you can just not do that. The other thing about passwords is, I think, if you create a password yourself, then I think right there you're starting off with a risky password, because a password that is something that's memorable can be part of a dictionary attack by a program. So you want to let your computer choose your passwords for you. I know this is probably maybe a foreign concept, but you want to let Keychain suggest a secure password for you, or if you're using a third-party password manager, they also have facilities to create your passwords for you. And these are just very arcane strings of text and letters and things that you would never come up with on your own that can be very long. Those are good passwords. Those are not going to be breached. So you want to let your Keychain or your password manager create these passwords for you. I know one password, which is my password to log into my computer, and also my Apple ID password. Once I can do those 2 things, I don't have to remember any passwords at all. It's all stored in the keychain, which gets unlocked by my computer's password. So, I think that's what you should strive for. You shouldn't have to remember passwords. If you're trying to think of, well, what was my password to my banking site, then that's not a good scenario.
Thank you,
If
Aaron.
Roy, let me just break in for just a quick minute. Yeah, I wanted to congratulate Craig Harai, who is the winner of our door prize for today's general meeting. And Craig, I wanted to ask you that today for the door prize, we are offering either a $25 Apple gift card or an AirTag. So which of those would you like for today's door prize?
I will take the AirTag.
Okay, so I'll be in touch, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Roy, you can go on.
Okay. I guess Jack is next.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the question, has anybody found, or is Apple planning, or anybody else planning to make a separate fingerprint pad like they built into the new Apple keyboards? I can't use the new Apple keyboards because at the History Center, because they always run down, with a rechargeable. I need corded keyboards, but the fingerprint scanner is very nice in it. Anybody make a separate one? USB plug-in. Ooh, no ideas?
I would guess, this is Van. I would guess that Apple doesn't want that to happen because of security. That there's it was a long time before they put a fingerprint reader into a separate keyboard, which they now do. And I don't know what the communication is between that wireless keyboard and the Mac, but if I were to guess, I would guess that that's maybe a security issue there, that it's not something that anybody else could necessarily do or easily do to replicate that.
Well, it sounds to me it would be a good Apple product. It could be connected by USB and still have security built in if it is. I don't know how they connect it either, but it works nicely.
Yeah, I think they'd have to send all the parameters to Apple and then get back a code or something. But yeah, I haven't heard of any other devices.
Jack, if you're just worried about battery drain, why not leave the USB cable attached to it?
We do for the keyboard, but the mouse runs down. We have different people using it, so they shut it off without, it's used weekly or bi-weekly. They shut it off. They don't turn off the switch on the mouse and the keyboard. Next person comes in, they're both dead. So we went to a Apple, wired mouse and keyboard just to use, so we could use it right away and not. And the fact that the mouse can't be charged and used at the same time, that's a real drawback. That's a design problem, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I heard you say was that your primary concern was the battery drain on the keyboard. So I think to solve that, all you have to do is plug it into a USB cable attached to the Mac, and the problem's solved.
Yeah, actually,
I understand the issue. I understand the issue. I understand the issue with the mouse, and people should definitely submit feedback to Apple. It's one of its worst design faux pas ever.
Yes.
So
bing, 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 more Apple feedback.
But there's certainly third-party mice, and I think it's been over a decade since I've even used a mouse because I like trackpads so much. So you could also plug in the Apple Magic Trackpad using a USB cable as well, and that way your two devices are constantly connected and they're constantly being charged. So I even have some customers that will, like in public computer labs at universities, they don't want devices walking off, so they'll super glue the USB cables to the keyboards and trackpads so that they can't, they could still be detached from the back of the computer, but it's less likely if you super glue it at the end of that's on the device. I'm not advocating that people start. I'm not advocating people super glue.
Excuse me, Aaron, just a second. Jerry has been waving his hand urgently for a while. Jerry, did you have a comment?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I'm concerned about the password, whether it be 1Pass or whether it be Keychain or any of the other ones. How long do you think it'll take before a hacker gets in and gets their handle on all the passwords? Hackers have been known to get into companies, to get into the federal government, and to get in many agencies and get people's names, social security numbers, passwords, all of that stuff. How do you suspect we're going to be protected against that?
Dan, are you
hearing no answer? Let me tell you,
no.
I just read a book. I finished a book written in 2021. The name of the book is "This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends." And it's a subtitle is "The Cyber Weapons Arms Race." And it's by Nicole Perlroth. And she's a New York Times writer. And she's been working on this book for 7 years. And she talks about cyber crime. She talks about hackers, both domestically and overseas, whether it be in Eastern Europe, whether it be in Argentina, or wherever it is. They're all over us. You remember the Iran incident with their centrifuges? That was the NSA. NSA had all kinds of tracking tools. And this goes back to what Roy said before at the beginning about keeping your applications and everything up to date. Well, a lot of industry and a lot of places and control systems don't. They don't update their systems that have been in place for years, and hackers can easily get into these, and they get what's known as 0 days. And our NSA has been collecting those 0 days. They put them all together. They unleashed it on Iran, and you know what happened there. Well, Iran got pretty well pissed off about this, and so did everybody else. But the funny thing, and it's not funny, it's scary. And if you read this book, it'll scare you. It scared the crap out of me. The NSA tools, all of their hacking tools, were exposed and they were put online and they're available to everyone. The Chinese are using them. The Iranians are using them. The Eastern Europeans are using them. The Russians.
Jerry, that's very old news.
Well,
not to me.
Tell me how then our password programs are not going to be compromised.
Right. So let's have Van have the first crack at that.
Okay, I can't guarantee anything. And my answer was to your first question, not the second one about how the world ends. But the short answer is the password managers do not know your passwords. We think they do, but they don't. They store an encrypted data that is only decryptable by your master password that you use with LastPass or 1Password or something like that. So only you know that. The password manager does not know that. So if someone were to hack their servers, they would get a bunch of what's called sort of an encrypted blob of data that wouldn't be usable, wouldn't be identifiable as any passwords. The only way it could be decrypted is when you would pull it down and use it locally, having entered your master password. So the short answer is hacking the password manager servers wouldn't reveal your passwords, at least in any kind of usable way.
Is there any
Jerry, let's have Aaron respond, and then you can come back. Okay, Aaron.
I just wanted to add to what Van said real quickly that another perspective on this is that passwords are always going to have a weak link, and one way to solve this problem is simply to get rid of passwords. And I think that that's what Apple and Microsoft and Google and a lot of companies are trying to do with an industry technology called passkeys. And with passkeys, you know, if the database of passwords is breached on a company's server, it doesn't matter because they only have the public part of your password, of your account information. So it doesn't matter. The private part is still on your device. So I think that, you know, from the perspective of Apple and Microsoft and Google, the way to solve that kind of problem is to do away with the importance of even having passwords. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, Jerry.
So in the meantime, before that system is implemented, if you use Keychain and the server for some reason or other goes down, is there some way locally I can have a copy on a piece of paper that I can refer to just enter if necessary?
Yeah, it's all in your Keychain utility. It's all there. It's all cached locally.
Thank you.
And some of the managers will allow you to print an external document also. So
one thing I was just going to add, Jerry, is that the issue of reposing all of your stuff in one database, what if they hack that? It's all about risk assessment that every user has to do. And from what I've read, the risk is much, much greater if I use a short known password on more than one website that my identity will be hacked. Then the chance, if I use one password and all the passwords are different on every website and they're all randomized, that the password database will be hacked. So it's all a matter of risk assessment for each user to make.
Right. All right.
See, that was a pretty dry last word about this.
Well, one element of risk assessment is whether I even want to print those things out.
Right.
Because as soon as I print them out, one part of my brain says, wow, this is great, man, I've got it covered. And the other part of my brain says, now my entire life is exposed on this piece of paper with all the passwords to all my accounts. And is that the way I want it? You know, is that a piece of paper I want available?
How do you deal with your kids, for example, if you want them to have access in case something happens to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of
I prepared a few procedures about that. You know, we could talk offline about that if you want. I've got a process in place. It's not elegant, but it works, and it involves safe deposit boxes, and it involves other kind of keys that I've shared with trusted people and that kind of thing. But it's not super elegant, but at least it doesn't require that they have to have a piece of paper to to find the passwords.
Yeah, estate professionals now actually recommend that you include your master password or key to your password manager in your estate materials.
Right. And I was just going to say, I recently, before our trip, I prepared a document that had my passwords in it, prepared the document and then encrypted that document, and then sent it to my son with an encrypted code. So he both needed a code to get the file and then to unencrypt the file. So that's one way. Yeah, we got a few more minutes before we wrap up today's general meeting, but go ahead, Paul. Or Aaron, Aaron may have a reply.
Roy, here we go again. I'm so sorry. If I could just interrupt this because we want to have a chance to really thank Uwe for coming here today to talk to us.
Yes.
And Uwe, I wanted to offer you a Pi mug.
Oh,
these are very handsome mugs that I would be happy to snail mail to you
Oh,
in appreciation for your presentation today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. I like, I like to get the word out. And thank you for having me. Yeah.
And one thing I'd suggest, I think you might have put it in the chat, but if you could put in the chat again, your credentials, and I mean, do you use Patreon, or do you mostly have enterprise clients, or is there any way that we can help try to spread your?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, I'm just word to mouth kind of guy. Don't have a website yet because I do it sporadically, I do have a full-time job, my network engineering is full-time, but on the side I do stuff, help people out, consult, small business and private people, senior citizens with their computer. That's why I know so much about, the online exploitation. A couple of my clients, they were hacked, and luckily I could help them a little bit. And so far, so good, knock on wood. Nobody had to, lost money. So, give them my email. They're on the slides. I will send you the slides later on, and you can distribute them accordingly, or post them on your website.
Yeah, we certainly will. Thanks so much, Uwe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Aaron, I guess Aaron has a comment, and then we'll go over to Paul for
just real quick, I just wanted to add that for people that are concerned about, the issue that was just brought up about being able to access their account, or having their kids access their account, there's something called recovery contact. You can create what's called a recovery contact for your Apple ID. And so it's probably a good idea to set that up. I posted a link to how to do that. But this way, if you have someone that survives you that wants to access your account, or even if you just lock yourself out of your account, you can use what's called the recovery contact, and that's new within the last year. So that's the answer to that question.
That's good. Thanks so much, Aaron.
Okay, with the last comment of today's meeting, we'll have Paul introduce the subject.
It's a very brief comment. I just wanted to add with regard to printed passwords that I read that printers often too will record copies of documents that are printed. If anyone who's informed about this wants to comment, but it is an added measure of insecurity.
Yes. Yes, those are very typical of commercial printers at work environments, and not sure how much in the home environment, but that is a good word of caution. All right. With that, I'd like to thank everybody that attended the meeting. Uwe, I'd like to thank you and Jonathan for arranging the presentation for the general meeting. As usual, we'll have a clubhouse on the first Saturday coming up next month, and the third Saturday, Learner SIG on the second Thursday. Ralph will be having his usual Wednesday and Thursday meetings, so he'll be sending out announcements of that. The photo SIG will be coming up sometime in August also. I think that's the extent of all our meetings that we'll be having. And again, thank you for coming. So have a great Saturday, everybody.
So Roy?
Yes.
I think this is the last month that I'll be offering an AirTag for the door prize, because it's the last one I have of the double package that came to me.
Well, we could buy some more and offer it as the secretary. It seems to be a very popular item. And
well, as you think best.
Yeah. No,
Yes, I'll send the AirTag to Craig, and as I always do, I'll copy you the letter that I sent.
Right. And send out the mug. So
yep,
we'll be good there. All right, everybody, again, have a great Saturday. I'm going to, well, Jonathan has control. I guess if I leave, Jonathan can close the meeting because he's the one that hosted.
So I have the end. So I think I'm
you
going
have the
to,
end, and
I am going